Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Fuel for Success, the only internet talk show that's keeping me awake right now. It's good to see everybody here this morning on this beautiful Friday. Last Friday in May. The month of May is almost over, so all you slackers need to get to work and do the stuff that you said you was going to do before summer. That's my motivation for today.
That's actually good motivation, Rev.
Thanks. Hey, we've got episode 108 today. It's a Friday, and just like every Friday, we talk about family and relationships. And if you don't have any family and you don't have any relationships, you probably also don't have a computer or phone, so you're not watching this. So you're not our concern. But everybody has family and everybody has relationships, and so we're going to do what we can to help you out here today. Um, Speaking of relationships, my best friend Matt's with me here today. Good morning, Matt. How are you?
And good morning to you, my friend. I'm blessed to be alive. I'm thankful to be alive. I'm thankful for another day. And it's the summer is upon us, man. And I'm excited. I'm ready for it. I'm ready for our next Mission 25. I'm excited about the Jesus Bible study being out because I believe it's going
Yes.
to impact world evangelism. I believe it will become the number one home Bible study to use teaching people that are unchurched. It's going to be fun. It's going to be. In fact, I'm personally pumped. My son and I are going to go on like a home Bible study explosion. I'm gonna just go on a
Cool.
marathon to see how many Bible studies I can teach in 1 week and just like go off. So we'll see, man. But I'm excited about it. It's going to be fun. And it is Friday. Today is family and relationships. So what a topic. What a topic. Whose life is not impacted by family and relationships? They said I'm hard to hear. Is that me or is that just Karen being mean?
I'll turn you up a little bit. Let's see if it dials in. I might be really loud. I've got super, sensitive microphones and stuff. So sometimes I'm a little overbearing. This is weird. Sometimes I'm overbearing and they can't hear you.
That yeah, that is. Karen says she's mean, but you know, I really like Al, man. I can't overemphasize Al. Every show has good questions. Al is a winner. Al is a winner, my friend.
Well, there's a winner.
So, are you ready for the weekend, Mike? What does the weekend mean to you?
Um, that's a really interesting question because, not being a 9 to 5 worker and, not having a job that I like go do my job and come home sort of thing. Sometimes weekend means catch up time. And that's what it means this weekend. It means that I've got a couple extra days to get things done before Monday. And it always means, of course, church on Sunday, which I always look forward to. Um, Usually my weekends are extremely busy. How about yourself?
Well, I was walking with Caleb the other night, and we were walking by a church, and the church said the church service times 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. And I stopped my son. I said, Caleb, look at that sign. If your dad was just a normal person, I would go to the 8 a.m. service. I would totally do that because
Yeah.
you're out by 9:30, you're off to breakfast, and you have your whole day. Is that not amazing? Like, who has church at 8? In fact, I'd go to a 6 a.m. service on Sundays. Why not? I'd go to a Saturday night service. You know, and I'm just throwing that out there just to just tell you a little bit about me and you. You like the 11 a.m.ers?
Uh, that's so we actually go to church twice every Sunday, and we have a morning and an evening service, and I really like that. Uh, I would also, I'm with you though. I mean, if I were going to go to one service and there was an 8 a.m. service, I would be all about that.
Yeah.
Totally.
Some of you need two services in one day, so we get it. You You need a little more church in you. You got to stop the smoking and the cussing and all that. You know. For most of us, one service is good, you know?
I need all the Jesus I can get, man. That's just all there is. I'd go to 3 if I could.
Come on. Do it.
Actually,
Find a
sometimes I do.
service. What is wrong with your religion? You're slacking.
I don't know.
Does anybody know who won out of the Thunder and the Spurs last night? Because I went to bed early. No? All right. I'll have to. Spurs won? Oh, good. Okay. Good. Although I think that the Thunder this year probably have a better chance of beating the Heat. I just don't want to blow out in the finals. I want a game 7. I want a game 7 in the finals. Carol says I need 3 services. I probably do, Carol. So, Mike, tell us what we have in store today. I think Al started off with a question. Of course, guys, don't forget that one of the values of Fuel for Success is being able to ask questions and interact. Let me say this. It is really good to see a lot of the comments that happen on this show because a lot of you give good stuff, good insight that helps me grow. I do want to give a shout out to our friend Serge. It's always good to see Serge. Serge, speaking of relationships, Serge gets it. Do you know out of probably 7 times that I've flown to Canada to his church, he's 7 for 7 of texting me and asking me if I want juice, like fresh squeezed carrot and apple juice, and he makes it so good. I mean, he's 7 for 7. He literally does it every time. Like that's an extra mile man, in my opinion. You know, I just appreciate that, Serge. And of course, he always puts up with, my last minute needs for like technology. Hey, Serge, I'm gonna change my PowerPoint real quick. I'm not gonna preach that message. This is like 30 seconds before I'm about to speak.
Wow, you would do that?
Pretty used to that. Or like, Serge, come on, I need more monitor up here, man. And the poor guy's up on the drums, you know. Anyway,
It's
good to
funny,
see you,
Serge.
Serge, you and your wife need to come down to Florida, friend. I've been to Canada 7 times. Y'all haven't come and seen me once. And relationship has got to be kind of a give and take here, friend. So time to come down and get you some sunshine. Put it in your envelope. Go get an envelope today and write Florida on it. And every week when you get paid, just put a little bit of cash in there and come on down. Oh, you're coming down next spring. Okay.
Next
All
spring.
right, Serge.
There you go.
Tell us what you got today, Mike.
Hey, I want to actually touch on Al's question first because right out of the gate, it's a great question. And the concept, of course, is that nobody can come into your life, without really God wanting them in your life, and nobody can leave without really God wanting them in your life. And so, why do you think it's so hard for people to accept that, that relationships might end, even though it's clearly sometimes can be God's will?
It's hard to accept it. It depends. I mean, if you're connected to that person and you're in love and you really care about them, of course, it's going to be really hard to accept that it's over. Actually, you ready for this, Al? I read a life-changing book. Life-changing. In fact, it could go down as the top 5 like defining books that I've ever read. It's called Necessary Endings. Okay? It's written by the same guy that wrote Boundaries. Like, I'm telling you, it is a life-changing book. Necessary Endings. And in the book, he talks about that there are relationships and connections that it's necessary for it to end. But there is a pain in that. That's tough. That's tough to accept. That something that used to feel so right is now over and it's got to end. And I just think it's hard because of that reason. I think another reason it's hard, very few people are really truly confident and whole and secure within themselves. Sometimes if a relationship goes bad, it's usually because
think we lost Matt for a second. See if we can get him back here. Got message questions coming in on text too. By all means, click on the chat box over there. We lost you for a second there, Matt. Are you coming back? So relationship ends. It could be because of technology. No, just kidding.
Our relationship is over. I'm done.
Hey, good news is I worked with a Spreecast engineer for a while yesterday, and although the problem isn't fixed, I found a workaround. Obviously, my end of the broadcast is going a little bit better today,
No,
so
no, it's not
we're still working on it.
a lot better.
Yeah. Um, so I've got a couple other questions. We just had one come in on text.
Okay.
But let me ask this one from a couple weeks ago that Carlos actually asked a while back, and he asked, "What are some things to avoid when speaking and giving advice to our children?" So, in other words, when we're talking to our children, even giving them advice, which I could probably talk about that in itself. Um, what are some things to avoid when we're speaking to our children?
You start. I'll let you start your take on that first, and then I'll jump in behind.
Sure. Well, the first thing that I would say is even the way that the question is phrased, giving advice to our children, that's almost never going to work, just flat out. Uh, there's I'm not a fan of lecturing, and I'm not a fan of like telling our kids how to do things. There's one thing to like instruct them and to guide them, but like giving advice is probably not. What I see a lot, and it's a difficult thing uh, to overcome. But as a parent, you don't necessarily want to be your kid's best friend. It's hard to maintain a friendship and a parent relationship at the same time. Probably when they're older, it's okay. I'm great friends with my parents. Of course, they don't necessarily discipline me anymore. That sort of thing. You know what I'm saying? So, but
You mean you mean you don't
I
get spanked?
no. Although my mom probably could. She's like 110 pounds soaking wet. Could probably still whip me. So just saying. Um, but one of the things that I would say to avoid when speaking to your kids, giving advice is being the talker, doing all the talking, and that of course that applies to every relationship. But I see parents especially do that a lot. I literally see parents, their kids will start to say something, and parents will cut them off and begin to tell them something, and it's like you gotta, you can do more with a couple of good words than 1,000 missed words. You know what I'm saying? So you got to focus in, find the target, give the specific words for the situation. And you don't know what the target is if you don't listen. So don't worry so much about speaking. Don't worry so much about giving advice. Worry about listening. That's what I would say.
That's some really good stuff, Mike. And as a dad, I'm taking to heart the things that you shared. That's why I love this show, because we grow from each other. I grow from the audience. I'm all about personal growth. I'm all about learning everything that I can to be a better dad. So appreciate the tips you gave. Tell you what's tough. It's tough in our lives when you're a coach and you're a consultant, and pretty much from the time you wake up until you go to bed, you give advice. You give advice for a living.
Right.
I was a baseball coach. I give all kinds of seminars. I daily consult and coach. We do our talk show. Sometimes it's tough to and I've had to catch myself in relationships to get out of coaching mode and get more into, I love what you said, into listening mode. So I guess, but at the end of the day, we're actually commanded biblically to instruct our kids. Like, giving instruction is biblical. It's necessary. It's absolutely vital to the growth of your kids. So let me give you just 3 quick basic principles that I have learned. And that's sometimes, again, it's all about the timing of when you give it. And it's all about how you say it. In life, all of us need to continuously get better and train ourselves and develop in how we say things. They're saying something, and then they're saying something in love. Tone of voice is everything. The Bible says a soft answer turns away wrath.
Right.
Some parents I've seen, and I think you touched on it, Mike. Some parents speak down to their kids. They speak angrily, harsh. They raise their voice. So there's a difference between giving good advice and causing your kids to close up because of the way you say it, almost like condemning or harsh or judgmental even, or, it's the wrong timing. Another tip I've learned that really helps me, I'll give you an example about giving advice. Okay, Caleb's a baseball player, all right? And I grew up in baseball. I'm so, you don't know, because I understand the process of excellence and getting better, you have to continuously tweak and be coached and, and Caleb's a great baseball player, but I'm obviously, I'm older, I see it, and so there was a point where every little thing I was giving him advice, even in a game. And finally one day he said, Dad, he said, I need you to do me a favor. He said, he's on the way home from a game. He said, I need you to stop giving me so much advice about baseball. And man, was that tough to hear? Yeah, it was tough to hear, but it was true. But having said that, I believe that one of the things we don't do in our relationships is bring clarification to the table. We're way too vague in everything. We're vague in our expectations. We're vague in our request. And I said, okay, Caleb, listen, I'm going to respect that. So let me ask you this. Do you not want Dad to give you, what do you mean by that? He said, Dad, let me just go play the game. He said, you want to give me advice, do it on the way home after the game. He said, let me just play. He said, and you know what I've learned? 98% of mistakes he would make, his knowledge is here. He already knows it.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, same thing with being a kid, or, like we've said on this show before, the Bible says don't overcorrect your kids lest they become weary with you. There is a time you're giving too much instruction, too much advice. It almost becomes to where they can never do anything right. So I just think there needs to be some real clear communication. And so even I've asked Caleb, I want you to tell me if I'm giving too much, because I'm always training him. It's biblical. Train up your child. We're literally called to train, to instruct.
Right.
But you got to learn your kids. You got to learn what really motivates them. And you got to learn how they respond and how they want to be talked to. So don't be afraid. Literally, Mike, I've asked Caleb to grade me. You would win as a parent if after your correction or whatever, you asked your kid, now, Caleb, I want honesty here. And let me tell you, your answer is not going to make me mad. I'm not going to say one word. You just say it, and it's going to stay right here. You're not getting a response unless it's an I'm sorry. On a scale of 1 to 10, or A being the best, E being the worst, what would you grade me on how I just corrected you? Literally, I dare you to do that. And if it's a C, don't be a C? What are you talking about? Be okay, I appreciate you saying that. Tell me why it's a C, and tell me how I can make it an A. Dude, if we did that type of stuff in our relationships, we would grow. And one last thing. You've heard me mention the 3 questions. What do I need to keep doing? What do I need to start doing? And what do I need to stop doing? Dare you as a dad, as a to sit down with your teenager and say, I want you to tell me, I'm going to ask you 3 questions, and I will not justify myself or explain myself or get angry. I want to know, as a mom, what I do right. I want to know what I do. What do I need to stop doing? What annoys you? What hurts you? Listen, you can read every book that exists on parenting. Nothing will help you more than asking your own kid those questions. And what do I need to start doing? What do I need to do as a dad to make your life better, to make you feel more loved or more whatever? I mean, that could be life changing for some of you.
Well, just remember too, if you say that I'm not going to react, I'm not going to defend myself, I'm not going to justify, remember not to, because that's really important. Because you're really you're not going to get a lot of chances to build that trust and that openness. And when you described the interaction that you and Caleb have, like when he felt safe to come to you and say, "Hey, look, don't give me so much advice about baseball." So first of all, he felt safe coming to you, which means you'd already built rapport, you'd already built that trust. And then when you can ask him, how did I do as parenting, and he's upfront with you and real. I mean, there's a level of trust that you have to get to with your kids. And if you're, maybe in a situation today, if you're watching the show now or on the archive, and you're in a situation with your kids where maybe you don't have that level of trust with them, and you sit with that down with them, and you're going to ask them those 3 questions, and you're going to say, "Hey, look, I'm not going to react. I'm not going to get angry." You need to tell them that first of all, and then you need to follow through with that, right? And take it without being defensive, without being angry, without being, justifying yourself, because you're not going to get
Mike, what
two
you
chances to
said,
do it.
what you just said needs to be in every parenting book that exists. I hope every parent on here listening live today and later on the archives, I hope you really take to heart what Mike just said, because that's so true. That's so true. That's the deciding factor if you win or lose with your kids as a parent. That literally is the deciding factor.
Hey, I want to grab Sherry's question here, and this is one that definitely we can both relate to. How do you handle someone who is a constant drain to you? So, for example, we're, for example, in a ministry role, and we've got people that take all of our time, and we can't focus on others because they need so much attention. And how do you be rude and not hurt feelings? So,
You know, Mike, that's a tough one, because if it's a really close family member, you know, if it's coworker and then you're at the lunchroom, just move to the other side of the room. You know what I mean? But if it's like, you know, a mom, or even your teenager or your spouse, then we're talking like a real deep talk here. But the basics of this, nothing beats communication. Not at the end of the day, nothing beats communication. There's no way that anything can top open communication. And at the end of the day, depending on the situation, um, you've got to just shoot people straight. Say, look, I'm gonna be brutally honest right here. I love you. I would die for you, but you have some extreme negative energy that's going on in your life right now, and it's really draining me. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing that I just don't know of a better way. You know what I'm saying? Because otherwise, sometimes that could be the very thing that changes their life. It's a wake up call. It's just it's open talk, and I believe in open communication. It's hard to do. That would be mine, Mike. And of course, there's some other things I'll say. I know we're tight on time. We'll get deeper into that. What's your take on it?
her situation specifically is someone in church that, you mentioned like the coworker, you can move to a different table. A lot of times we don't necessarily have that luxury. If it's family or it's somebody that we're in a social environment that we can't necessarily stay away from. Um, and I like what my wife said, and she should probably follow this advice. You don't have to answer every phone call. which is true. You can't necessarily fix everybody's problems, and and I don't know Sherry, so I'm not sure what her personality type is. There are people who are fixers who just want to get involved and want to try to fix everything, and sometimes you sort of get deeper into that sort of relationship with somebody that's needy, that's draining, or whatever, and you need to just sort of find a way to back yourself out of it and um, just put some distance there. I don't know how else to do it. I like what you said, Matt, about being open and honest about it. Sometimes some people, there are literally some people that you can go to and you can say that to them, and they'll just look at you, blink, and then go right back into what they were, their old behavior.
Oh,
And
you
those
mean
kind
like
of people, what's that?
you you mean people like that you tell them and show them a picture of what juicer to buy, and 2 minutes later they ask you, "Hey man, what kind of juicer should I get?" Right? Is that what you're talking about? I need therapy about this. No, I'm just kidding. Um, Sherry, this is tough. She says the person considers her best friend. Um, maybe uh, she said she's a recovering people pleaser. You're gonna have this. You know what it is, Sherry? I'm gonna save you right here. Go reread if you haven't already read it, or if you have read it, reread Boundaries. Boundaries is the best book. In fact, nobody should even be able to have a driver's license unless they read the book Boundaries. Like everybody's license should be suspended if they don't read Boundaries in the next 90 days. Boundaries will change your life. Most
I'll
people do
link
not.
those.
What's that?
I'll link those up, both those books in the show notes here, so you can go back and click on them.
You're
Everybody should
welcome.
buy them.
Good questions.
I like
Oh,
what Carol said.
don't ask them how they're doing.
I know. I have people, literally, there's people that I know you never ever say, "Hey, how are you doing?" Right? When you walk up, shake their hand, go, "Hey, how are you doing?" or "How you been?" No. Some people you just go, "Hey, it's a great day. Good to see you."
Well, Julia is practicing open communication and telling me I'm an extreme person. I'm guessing that's a compliment. I'm taking it as a compliment. Like,
Yeah.
uh,
Ugh.
there's I love it. Sherry says you don't have to ask. There's a text waiting every morning on you. Sherry, all I can hope for is she's not watching the show right now, because if she is, then you really have a text. No, I'm just kidding.
Talk about
Uh,
open communication.
so, Sherry's friend, if you're watching, listen, don't take it personal. She loves you. Just stop draining her. That's all. No big deal. We've all failed and messed up. Hang tough. You know what? Just stop draining her for us, okay? Because you know, she said I've told her about the show. Well, Sherry, those are real life. You know what? That hey, at the end of the day, every relationship has to have conflict to survive. Has to. There's no way to have a healthy relationship without conflict. So I believe in conflict, but I believe in handling conflict the right way. And we'll deal with that next Friday.
I, I think a good exercise for everybody watching the show right now is to look at everybody that you have a relationship with and ask yourself, am I a draining person? Am I adding value to that relationship, or am I draining that person?
Ask them. Ask them. Like, I'm going to call Mike when I'm done, and I'm going to say, Mike, listen, bro, heart to heart chat here. You're not going to hurt my feelings. Do I drain you? So if you don't answer my call, bro, I'm going to be hurt. I'm going to be
I will
really
answer.
hurt.
Oh, I got a
Awesome.
couple of questions.
I just got a text from my secretary. She said, I'm down 17 pounds, still drinking my morning smoothie, and I hardly drink Diet Coke anymore. Come on! Come on! Took me years to get her off Diet Coke and the juice and the exercise. But now she's down 17 pounds. Carol wants me to ask her if I'm draining. Oh, I love what Al said. A true relationship survives the conflict. Superficial ones don't. So true. So true. That's probably one of the best statements, Al. You are 1,000,000,000% right. Mike, what were you saying, friend?
Well, I was just saying that I got a couple of questions in on text, and we don't have time to get to them. But the folks that texted me, I just want to let you know that we'll cover those as soon as we can. Um,
You
Certainly,
know,
no way we can cover it in a minute. So yeah,
guys, relationships, you're dealing with people, you're dealing with humans, you're dealing with people that have been hurt, you're dealing with people that have different personalities. Then you got to take men and women. I mean, talk about different, yo. But the thing of it is, guys, is read, 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 read. Get coaches. Get the best coach in the world. Um, you know, apply yourself. Get better. Go to Fuel for Success. Every Friday we talk about family and relationships. You could literally, you know what that's like? At the end of this year, if you showed up every Friday, it literally is like you went to 40. It'll be, I think, it'll end up probably being 48 or 50 seminars on relationships. Like, this is literally like a seminar. So make sure that bring Matt, bring on your dates with you as a coach. On your dates with you as a coach. What do you
you
say?
can be a he wants you to be a professional wingman.
Oh yeah, totally. Okay, I'll love that, man. That would be fun. Just I'll give you an earpiece and I'll listen in. I'll kind of sit at the table across.
You'd be like, no, come on, come with me, come here, we got to talk. You're doing this totally wrong.
Whatever, man. Come on, what are you thinking? I'm just kidding. Hey, somebody needs to do that for me. Hey, listen. Have a great weekend, my friends. Mike and I love hanging out with y'all. We appreciate anybody that takes the time to listen live, and then anybody that watches later on the archive. Gracias. Thank you so much. Please text, tweet, Facebook the link to this show. Pass it along to friends and coworkers. It's free. It's archived. You can watch any of our previous 108 episodes. You can go to YouTunes and download every episode on your iPod, and you should. Listen to us while you walk. Listen to us while you fold clothes, while you do dishes, while you clean the garage, and have an awesome weekend.
One more thing, Matt, real quick before you go. You mentioned next week is the official release of your Jesus Bible study. I'm looking forward to it. I want everybody on here to know that right now, extreme value, you can go to mattmaddox.com, click on store, and you can pre-order the Bible study today and save $10. So you would be silly not to.
It goes up to, thank you, Mike. I really appreciate that. It goes up to back up to $35 on Tuesday. So you're right. Thank you.
Right.
They can save money. So you're right, man. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate the shout out, man. Mike, you're a true friend. You don't drain me. Hear me? And you have a blast, man. Have an awesome weekend, my friend. Thanks for the insight today.
You bet. Y'all have a good one. God bless every one of you. See you Monday.